What's good, YouTube? It's Adam from IAMM Music Mogul, and welcome to another remake video. Today we'll be remaking the Weeknd's track Heartless, so let's get straight to it. You're probably going to want to grab some snacks, some drinks, because this one is probably going to take a little bit longer than the other ones. There's a lot of change ups in here. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. The tempo for this record is 170 beats per minute, and we're going to start off with the main sound over here. The lead sound that you hear at the beginning. We're going to bring in Logic's retro synth, and we are going to bring in a preset. It's going to be found under synth strings, and we're going to use the bright strings preset. Let's go ahead and draw in a pattern. Let's give ourselves 8 bars, and let's start off with that first sound. All right, so I'm just going to repeat that. Let's go ahead and open up the retro synth. We're just going to use this cutoff right over here and just bring it quite a bit down. All right, so next let's go and bring in an EQ, and let's cut out a lot of that low and bass info. All right, let's go ahead and close that up. Next, let's go ahead and just gonna bring in some overdrive here just to add in some saturation. Just saturates that sound a bit. And next, let's go ahead and bring in some reverb. Let's go to Logic Space Designer. And we're going to bring in a big sounding reverb here, the bomb tail. And just bring down the dry a bit. And we'll bring up the wet a bit. Get a really soaking, drenched wet. All right, so there's our first sound right over there. Next, let's go ahead and create a new software instrument track. And we're gonna go ahead and bring in Logic's ES2 synthesizer, and we're going to layer up this pad sound. So we're gonna go over to our synth pads. It's going off my screen here. Let me see if we can bring this up here. Still off my screen, synth pads. And we're gonna go to a preset called Resonant Clouds. I'm just gonna leave it just like that and just copy this down. Just bring that down, layer it up. Just fills that out a little bit more. Then we're gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track, and we're gonna bring in like an effects sound here, sort of like an atmosphere, some crazy glitches happening in the background. We're gonna go to synthesizer, soundscape, and we're gonna bring in a preset called here, channel preset called dystopian soundscape, and we're gonna copy down the same pattern. All right, let's leave it on that. We're just gonna blend this in. All right, next we're going to create a new software instrument track. And we're gonna go ahead and bring in Logic's Alchemy. And we're gonna bring in this effects build-up sound that takes us from section A into section B. And it's gonna start off from over here, halfway through. So let's open up Alchemy, And the preset that we're going to want to use can be found under pads, evolving, and we're going to go to a preset called, what was it called? Endless Sky, right over here. All right, and let's go ahead and just draw in the pattern. Very simple. I'm just going to go ahead and go B flat here. It's going to be over the 4 bars. Dragged out. And it sounds like this. It's going to be built up. And it's going to build up into our second pattern. All right, so something like that. It'll all make sense once everything is together. All right, so next let's go over to our second set of 8 bars. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just copy this over. We're gonna copy over this. Let's just pull this down. Let's get everything organized here. This will just be for the intro bit. This we're gonna copy over as well. We're gonna create a new softer instrument track. And we're gonna go ahead and add in a pad sound. We're gonna bring in Logic's Vintage Mellotron. And we're gonna use the 3 violins over here. And let's go ahead and just draw in a pattern here. Let's start off over here. Okay, let's just bring this down 1 octave. Pull the tone all the way back. And I'm going to go ahead and open up an EQ, and we're going to filter out a lot of the top end. Let's go ahead and mix that in. All right, next is going to create a new softer instrument track. And we're going to bring in another texture over here, but we're going to go to cinematic, we're going to go to textures, and we're going to bring in a channel setting called Edgy Cycles, and we're going to copy down the same pad pattern. All right, I'm just going to keep this one over here. I'm going to pull this out of this group here, delete that. Let's go ahead and group all of these channels together. We're going to create a track stack and, not a folder track stack. Let's go to create track stack. We're going to do a summing track. And we're going to put in a chorus effect here just to kind of soften up this sound a little bit. Modulation chorus. All right, let's go to a preset. Let's use this one over here. Next, let's go ahead and add in some effects tracks here. Create another softer instrument track. And for this tutorial, I actually started to create an effects kit pack, channel strip setting pack, and only got a couple right now, made it for this song here, but we'll be putting together a full pack together later, but anyways, it's not here or there, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in the channel strip setting now. I'm going to get it under Mogul Effects 1, which will be what the kit will be called, and we're going to bring in like this white splash noise here at the top of each 8 bars. So it's going to go something like this. It's going to be like a nice little splash of sound. That's incredibly loud, but let's go ahead and bring that down. Something like that. Bring it more down. Just want it nice and quiet in the background. Next, let's create a new softer instrument track. We are going to bring in yet another instance of an effects. We're going to go to our channel strip setting over here. Go to Mogul Effects 1, and we are going to use the riser sound here, and it's going to be a build up into the next section. But instead of it being at the end here, we're going to switch this over to the end over there. All right, so it sounds something like that. Next, let's go ahead and, you guessed it, create another softer instrument track. And we're going to start off with our 808. Bring in Logic's ES2 synthesizer. Bring in the 808 preset. And let's go ahead and draw in the pattern and then manipulate that sound from there. Let's see how it's going to sound. Bring this up. Give ourselves some more room. Okay, so let's go down to a low octave here. Well, not too low. Let's start off over there. Let's copy down the same pattern. Except this is going to go up and it's going to go to here. All right, let's duplicate that over. And let's go ahead and open up Logic's ES2 synthesizer and manipulate this over here. Pull back the detuning. I'm going to pull the blend over here. We'll use this cutoff, pull it down. Pull back the distortion. I'm going to pull up the attack a bit so it's not so clicky. Pull back the release as well. Something like that is good. All right, let's go with that. Let's bring it back in with the mix. All right, that sounds good. Let's create a new softer instrument track. And we're going to bring in Logic's EXS24 sampler instrument. And we're going to bring in the Heartless drum kit. And we're going to start bringing in some of those drums. Let's start off with our clap, something simple. All right, so the claps are going to go in the 3s. Just duplicate that over. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate this track and let's go ahead and draw in our kicks. So the kick is going to be here. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate that over. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate this track over here. Let's go ahead and draw in those hi-hats. Let's see here. Let's go over to our brush tool. It's going to be a straight 8th hits. Just repeat that over. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate that track. Let's bring in the tom track. Let's see how this goes here. All right, so there's the tom track. Let's go ahead and duplicate this track. And we're going to bring in some open hats or some open hats. Changes back to a pencil tool. All right, so there's some like panning happening with these hats here. So I'm going to pan this over to the left by 25 points. Next, let's go ahead and duplicate this track, copy this one down. We're going to push this over to the right side. And we're just going to go ahead and put this, and push this over. And it's going to sound like this. All right, next let's go ahead and create another softer instrument track or duplicate this up. And we're going to add in some crashes at the end. And it's going to go something like. All right, so there is pretty much our drum foundation over there. Next, I'm just going to take all of our drum tracks over here, minus the 808. We're going to create another track stack. And we're just going to add in a little bit of reverb on here just to give it a little bit more space as a whole. All right, and then we're going to create a new softer instrument track, and we're going to put in the counter melody that's happening in this section. Let's go ahead and draw in a pattern here. And we're going to bring in Logic's Vintage Mellotron once again. Let's close that up. And let's go ahead and just draw in that pattern. I'm just going to copy this over here. All right, now let's get it sounding like the one in the track itself. We're going to use the this setup right over here. We're just going to blend a little bit to the boys choir. I'm going to bring down the tape speed. Pull back the tone a little bit. Gonna open up an EQ. Gonna cut out the lows. take out some of the highs as well. Alright, and then we're going to add in some chorus. Actually, for the chorus, let's go ahead and just change this up to mono to stereo. We're just going to use this preset right here. And then we're going to go ahead and just widen this up a bit as well. We'll go to sample delay and just delay one of the sides here. Just happens in the background. All right, next let's go ahead and move on over to the next 8 bars. Then we're going to copy over these bright strings here once again. Copy over this mellotron sound. Copy over the this splash here. We're going to copy over the 808. Except the last half is going to switch up. All right, and then we're gonna create a new software instrument track, and we got to bring in a couple more sounds here. Metro Boomin really went in on this one. We're gonna bring in Logic's ES2 synthesizer. We're gonna go over to bring in another pad preset here, and this time the pad that we're gonna bring in is called Massive Spacer, and we're gonna go ahead and close that up. And this is only gonna last for 4 bars. Let's go ahead and draw in that pattern. It's a little bit brighter here. Alright, so we're going to copy, or sorry, bring in Logic's EQ. Cut out a lot of the high end. And then we're going to bring in some reverb. Bring in Logic Space Designer. But we're going to make this lower so it's not so in your face. All right, next we're going to create a new software instrument track. We're going to bring in another pad sound. We're going to bring in, once again, Logic's ES2 synthesizer. And we're going to go over to bring in another preset, this time under Synth Motion Sequences. And we're going to use the preset Smooth Vector. Let's go ahead and close that up. And let's go ahead and draw on that pattern. This time it's going to last the full 8 bars. It's going to give us some texture here. Let's bring this down. Let's go ahead and duplicate that over. Open up an EQ. We obviously don't want that sound to be that crazy, so we're going to go ahead and cut out a lot of the highs. We just want it for like texture, added texture. Maybe we'll bring in some reverb as well. All right, so now we're going to switch it up with the 808 pattern. So let's go ahead and draw that in right now. It's going to go something like this. Just focus on these last 4 bars. And we just got to find that 808 again. It was in the C1 octave. And it's just going to go something like this. Then we're going to copy this down to our kick. Let's find our kick. And then we're going to copy this down to our crash. So let's go ahead and find our crash over here. And it's going to sound something like this. Let's use this one here, but let's duplicate this. Take out the panning. And let's just find where it goes. All right, and then we got to bring in those giant sirens. Let's create another softer instrument track. Told you it's going to be a long one. And I'm going to bring in another channel strip setting here from the Future Mogul Effects kit. Where is it here? Mogul Effects. We're going to bring in the siren sound. And it's going to sound something like this. Let's go ahead and draw that in. Open that up. Actually, it's only going to happen at the end here. Does sound like this. All right, from there, we're going to move on to our next 8 bars. And we're going to go ahead and copy over all of these over here, all these instruments. And then our hi-hat pattern is going to switch up here. So I'm going to just duplicate that. I'm actually going to duplicate it 3 times over because we're going to get some crazy panning happening, and we're just going to keep that on separate tracks. So for this let's delete this for now. This hi-hat pattern over here, it's a little bit brighter, at least that's what I felt in the records. We're going to go to distortion, overdrive, and we're just going to distort this out a bit, add in some saturation. All right, then we're going to go ahead and duplicate this hi-hat track, open that up, and delete all that. And we're just going to add in some stutters here. Let's go ahead and zoom on in. I'm going to change this over to a 30-second note triplet. And we're just going to add in a triplet here. Sorry, not a triplet, just a 30-second note repeat. And once again, we're going to pan this over to the left, 25 points. Let's go ahead and duplicate this track once again, copy that down, and then we're going to go ahead and just drag this out to the next points, which one will be over here, and I believe one was here as well. And this one's going to be panned over to the right. All right, now we got to create another softer instrument track. And we're going to drag this all the way down so we don't get confused here. And for this one, we're going to draw in another set of chords. Bring in Logic's Sculpture. And we're going to bring in a preset here found under keyboards. And the preset is called Shimmering Keys. And we're going to draw in the pattern now. It's going to sound like this. All right, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate that over. So I'm going to soften up this track a bit by adding in some chorus. All right, and then we're going to copy over this pattern over here up to this sound over here, this pad, just to fill it up again. All right, and finally we can move on to the next 8 bars, and this is where that breakdown comes into play. I did a tutorial, was it a week ago, but a little while ago on the bass sound from this track. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track, and we're gonna bring in that bass channel strip setting, the Weeknd Heartless bass right over here. Gonna draw in a pattern, and let's go ahead and draw that pattern in. And it goes something like this. If you want to learn how to make this bass sound, I'm going to place a link in the description box below this video. You can learn how to make this bass sound. All right, so we get that bass and it goes into like this, something like this. I love that bass sound. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring in these 2 effects over here. So we get a nice little sort of transition effect. All right, so of course we got to add in some pads and sounds in the background. So once again, let's create a new software instrument track. So the first sound, we're going to bring in Logic's Alchemy. And let's go ahead and just draw in this pattern here. And for the sound, we're going to go over to pads. And we're going to find a pad that sounds like, or the preset that I want to use was called Choir Ooh. Where was it here? Choir O, this one right over here. and I moved this to here. I know what sound it is because I put it together in the bass tutorial that we put out a week ago. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw this in right now, the pattern, once again. I'm just going to take out some of the low end here. Let's duplicate that over. Next, it's going to create a new softer instrument track. I'm going to copy down the same pattern. I'm going to bring in Logic's Alchemy. Once again, we're going to go over to the pad section. And we're going to go to Autumn Haze. Once again, I know what one shot I want because we did it in about a week ago. And I've been working on this one ever since. Where is it here? Autumn Haze. All right, and we're going to move this over to the space here. I'm just going to pitch this one up. Next, let's go ahead and duplicate this track once again and copy down over the same pattern. Open up Logic's Alchemy. And once again, we're going to be under pads, and we're going to use the first preset here, the 1980 Sweet Pad. Cut out a little bit of the low end here. Then we're going to group all these tracks together. We're going to create a new track stack, a summing track. Okay, we're going to bring in Logic's EQ. Make sure our low end is cut out. And I'm just going to bring in some reverb here. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new softer instrument track. We're going to bring in a Steinway grand piano here. And we're going to copy over this pattern as well. But we're going to bring that down in the mix. All right, so we got this. And then over here, we're gonna go ahead and put in the snare sound. So let's create let's just create a new software instrument track. We'll create a new set of drums. Bring it down to here. We'll bring in Logic's EXS24 sampler instrument. Bring in the drum kit. Make this nice and loud. And let's start off with that snare sound. So I'm only going to focus in on these 4 bars here. Alright, so for the snare, I'm just going to take out some of the low in here. I'm just going to make it a little darker sounding by bringing in some overdrive and distorting it a bit. Next, let's go duplicate this track. We're going to take out the EQ and the overdrive, and let's layer up that with a clap. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate that track, and let's draw in the kick pattern. It's gonna go something like this. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate that track once again, and we're going to draw in the hi-hats, and it's going to be just a straight, I believe it's a 4th note hit, something like this. Just duplicate that. All right, let's go over to the next 4 bars. Let's duplicate all this over, and let's duplicate our drums over. But except it's gonna switch up a little bit here. So our hi-hats go a little bit faster here. Let's find where our hi-hats are. So we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna duplicate that over. Ooh. Over here we get a stutter, back to 30-second notes. Over here once again. And then we get another instance of a kick over here. All right, next let's go ahead and move over to the next 4 bars. All right, so then this stuff comes out. We're not going to use this anymore. And I believe the siren comes into play back here. I'll bring that in here. And for the, where is it here? So for the kick, let's just find that kick once again. Here it is here. We're going to copy that over, and it's going to go something like this. Take out that kick over there. And then for the hi-hats, let's find where the hi-hats are. I'm guessing this is the hi-hats. That's why you should label your tracks. We're going to go ahead and take out this second half here. The first half is going to be like this. I'm just going to push this back to here. And then we got to go find the 808s. The 808 is up here. So let's just copy this over here. I think it's going to be a similar pattern to this. Let's copy this over. It's going to be like this. I'm just going to take this out over here. And we're going to do the same to the other tracks here. So open this up, cut that out. Open this up, cut that out. And then we go back into this section over here. Let's just try and copy that over one more time. It's been a long tutorial. Don't want that. All right, so that's pretty much the tutorial right there. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track here. And we're gonna bring in some of that white noise that's heard throughout the track. I'm just gonna bring this down so it doesn't get too loud. We're gonna go to utility and we're gonna bring in test oscillator here. And we're gonna bring in white noise. And there's pretty much this white noise that happens throughout the track. It's like this wind sound. I'm just gonna put it in the back. And I'm just gonna put a quick pause here, make sure our arrangement is semi-good, and then I'm gonna come right back. All right, so we are back. The arrangement sounds pretty good. There are some more sounds that happen as the song goes, but you know what? This has been a long one. This is what we're gonna go with for now. So here is our remake that we just put together. Sit back, relax, and enjoy The Weeknd's Heartless. Alright, so there is The Weeknd's Heartless. For your Logic users out there, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you guys. Place it as a downloadable link in the description box below this video. For your non-Logic users out there, got your back as well. Going to go and export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this tutorial. In this remake, you can find that playback in the description box below this video. That's it for me, guys. If you do have any questions on this, you can go and ask me in the comment section below. We can go ahead and chat over there. If you did like this video, remember thumbs up and share it. This has been a long one, so if you do like videos like these, remember to please hit that subscribe button, as it does help out the channel quite a bit. So I thank you for that. If you already are subscribed, thank you so much for the continued support and for enjoying the videos. That's it for me, guys. Happy holidays. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.